welcome back to my channel. Hope you're good. Today's video we are going to be focusing on mobility, which is something that I do every day, and this is mobility drills that I do every morning before my training session. So I thought I would do a follow-along video. I've never done one before, so hopefully this goes well. These are exercises that I like to do, and they're full body exercises, full body mobility exercises that I like to do before my session, just to prep my body for the session, and also just to again loosen up the body, especially when you wake up in the morning, everything's tight and stiff. So this is a great way to just loosen up the body and improve your mobility, especially before you train. So all you need is a mat, and that's it. So if you can get a mat, and ideally by a wall. If you can't place the mat by a wall, that's fine. You can move to a wall when we need to do a certain exercise. And what I'll do is also give you scaled options for some of the exercises if you can't do them, and give you progressions as well on some of the exercises. So what I'll do is demo every single exercise first before we go into the movements, and I will be doing a voiceover just because it's going to be easier, and then I don't have to overly shout as I'm demonstrating the exercises as well. And plus I can't multitask, so I rather do a voiceover whilst doing the exercises. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, that would be awesome. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. So if you want to now, you can pause the video to set yourself up, get into a nice comfortable position, and then make sure, of course, you can see the laptop comfortably before we get into the exercises. So first we're going to start with some neck rotations. So bring your chin down to your chest, and then to the side, and then go back down to the side, and down to the middle. Okay, so we're going to do about 3 reps of these now. Back to the side and down to the middle. So try not to rush this, take your time with this. Nice and slowly, just really stretch out the neck, just to release some tension, especially if you're doing this first thing in the morning. And then once you've done 3, we're going to go the opposite way. So clockwise and counterclockwise. Again, we're aiming for 3 reps. Nice and gently all the way round. Last one. So next we have some trap rotations. So shrug your shoulders up towards your ears and retract your shoulder blades back down. So bring it up as close to your ears as possible and back down. So we are going to do about 5 reps counterclockwise. So shrug up, almost make a circular motion with your shoulders when going back, up and down. Try and make sure the only thing moving is your traps when shrugging up and down. And now we will go the opposite way, another 5 reps, nice and slowly, up towards your ears and back down. And relax. Next, we're on to some shoulder cars. Now, what I want you to do is in a nice and stable position, keeping your arms straight. Watch carefully as I perform this exercise. So arms straight, and we're going to go up along the wall. Once you get overhead, rotate your palms to face the wall and all the way back, and then rotate your palms again and down. Keeping your arms straight, we're going to reverse this all the way up, and we're going to come back to the start position. So now if you struggle with this, move away from the wall, because that would give you a better range of motion. And we're going to do 5 reps of these now. Okay, so remember, keep your arms as straight as possible when performing this exercise. Take your time, do not rush this. Keeping your arms as straight as possible, go up overhead, back down, brace your core. Remember to try and avoid rotating your torso as well too much. So if you find you're doing this a lot in terms of rotating, move away from the wall even more, and perform this exercise. Okay, nice and gently all the way up and back down, keeping your arms as straight as possible. And then last one, and reverse, and then we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Okay, again, remember that this is an exercise that you want to take your time with. It will be harder on one side, so if you do have slight mobility issue on one side, you might struggle with it. So for me, the left side is slightly off compared to my right. I have slight mobility issues on my left side, so this exercise is slightly harder. So keeping your arms straight, don't forget, nice and slowly. When you go up overhead, turn your arms to face you and back down. Again, if you do struggle, don't forget to move away from the wall. And if you do have really good mobility, try and get as close to that wall as possible to perform this exercise. It's a good way to really open up your shoulders, especially before a training session. So the last one. And relax. Well done. Next, we have the cat camel. So down on all fours, arms straight. Make sure you engage your core, so that would automatically engage your lower back, engage your abdominals. And then what I want you to do is we're going to pull our upper back all the way up towards the ceiling. Go up as far as you can, keeping that arm as straight as possible. And then we're going to reverse this and sink our lower back down towards the floor. Okay, so we're going to do 5 reps of these. Now I want you to imagine there's this piece of string pulling you up towards the ceiling, and then there's a piece of string pulling your lower back down to the floor. Okay, up as high as you can towards that ceiling and sink your lower back down. Again, do not rush this. Take your time when performing this exercise. You want a really nice stretch when you're pulling your upper back up towards that ceiling. All the way down, sink your lower back down towards the floor. Okay, so we're going to do one more. And relax, well done. And now we are going to move on to the Superman. So in the same position. So what we're going to do is keeping your core braced, lift your right leg up and your left arm out. So the opposite. Keeping your core braced, hold it for a second, and then we're going to alternate this on the other side. Okay, make sure you hold that position, keep your lower back braced and your core braced at all times. We're going to do 8 reps of these now. Up and hold it. Try and keep your leg and your arm that's extended as straight as possible. Hold it for at least a second. You will find that one side is easier than the other. This is going to be the case in a lot of mobility exercises. But the best thing you can do is continuously do these exercises to improve this. Again, engage your core so that you are not tilting to one side when you're performing this exercise. Nice and gently up. And last one. And relax. Well done. Next, we are on to the hip internal and external rotations. So what you're going to do is make sure you get into a nice comfortable position, as you can see in the video, both feet down on the floor, and we're going to internally rotate one hip and externally rotate the opposite. So try and bring that knee that's internally rotated down to the floor if you can, and the same thing goes for the external rotation. Now, and if you do struggle, that's probably going to be the case on this one because it is a tough exercise, but try and get as close to the floor as you can. We're going to be doing about 10 reps of these, nice and slowly. Again, don't rush this, especially if you struggle with bringing your hip all the way down towards the floor, bringing that knee all the way down to the floor. Nice and gently. This is a great way to really open up those hips. And one more. and relax. Next, we are on to some hip cars. Now, I need you to pay very close attention to this movement before you perform it. So in the same position as a camel on all fours, brace your core. What you're going to do is raise your back leg. That's going to come up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to externally rotate at the hip. So your knees will come out, keeping that core as straight as possible, your spine aligned, and then bring your knees towards your elbows and down. So think of it as drawing a circle with your hips. Okay, so we're going to do 6 reps of these now. So if you get into position, up, twist, out, and in, and back down. Up, rotate outwards, and draw a big circle with your hip. Okay, try and raise that leg up using your hip. Focus on really moving your hips and drawing big circles with those hips. Try not to move too much to the left or the right with your core. Your torso, keep that as aligned as possible. And down. Okay, so we're going to do one more. And then we're going to go on to the other side. Performing exactly the same exercise. However, you will find that it might be a slightly difficult task if on the one side that is struggling with mobility. So if you have a side, again, like I said before, that has poor mobility, for me, it's the right side with my hips, you will find that this is quite difficult, but it's a great way to reopen up your hips. And relax. Well done. And next we have some squat overhead rotations. So with one arm down, opening up the hip, you're going to externally rotate the other arm up overhead, keeping your arms as straight as possible and reaching as far overhead as you can. So that arm that's down on the floor is meant to open up and keep those hips open to avoid your knees coming in, which might be tougher on, again, the weaker side. Okay, so we're going to do 8 reps of this. This is a great exercise to really open up your hips and a great way to mobilize your thoracic spine. So nice and careful, keep that arm as straight as possible. This is a great exercise to do before a leg session as well, if you really want to open up those hips. Nice and slowly. Again, take your time. Like I say in every single one of these exercises, do not rush it. Up and out stretch. Nice and controlled. If you can touch the floor with your palm and perform this exercise. That's absolutely fine. And we're going to do one more. Awesome. Next, we have a Jefferson curl into a walkout and an abdominal stretch. So chin down to your chest, roll your shoulders forward, try and touch your toes if you can, keeping your legs as straight as possible, and then walk out on your hands all the way out down to the mat. As you can see, chest up, really stretch your abdominals, hold it for 2 to 3 seconds. And then what we're going to do after that is we are going to reverse this movement. So we're going to come all the way back up. Try and keep your legs as straight as possible. If you can't do this, if you have poor mobility, you can bend your knees. That's absolutely fine. And then come all the way up, touch your toes if you can, and back to the start position. So we're going to do 3 reps of this. Chin down, roll your shoulders, walk out, keeping that leg as straight as possible. Don't forget to bend your knees if you need to, and then stretch your abdominals. All the way back up. Now with this exercise, when you start, it is slightly difficult, but once your hamstring starts to get loosened up, it actually feels easier. So you might find after the 2nd rep that it actually gets better. Get a nice stretch on your abs as well. And all the way back up. So we're going to do one more now. Remember, chin down, just roll your shoulders down. Try and relax your shoulders when going all the way down. Walk out. A nice abdominal stretch, chest up. And reverse this, keeping your leg as straight as possible. And well done. And next we have a hamstring stretch. So what I want you to do is have your feet as wide as possible, toes pointing outwards. Go down into the stretch and touch the floor, both hands on the floor, keeping your arms as straight as possible. Now, and if your mobility is restricted, what I want you to do is just stop where your body would naturally stop you. So if you can't touch the floor, just hovering above the floor is fine. If your fingertips touch the floor, that's also fine as well. And then what I want you to do, if you can touch the floor, I want you to just gently rock back and forth for a few seconds, just gently rocking back and forth. However, if you want to progress this and you find this too easy, you can grab onto your ankles and hold on to that and reach further down if you can possibly do that. Okay, so now going into the stretch, we're going to hold this stretch for about 20 seconds now. Okay, so if you find that you want to progress the stretch to your hands touching the floor or touching your ankles halfway through, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so we have another 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, and back up. And next we have the Cossack squats. Watch carefully when I lunge down, what I do with my hands. So the right hand that's on the mat is there to really open up my hips. So I'm using my elbows to open up my hips, and my left arm is just there for stability. As you can see, it's also facing backwards. So I'll repeat this on the other side. So now the left arm, I'm using my elbow to open up my hip, and the right arm is just there for stability. Okay, making sure to keep both feet down onto the mat if you can. We're going to do 10 reps of these now. Okay, make sure you really open up those hips using your elbow. Drive your hips open. This is a great exercise to really mobilize your hips. And you can do this pre-workout as well because it's a great dynamic exercise. Okay, halfway down. Trying as much as possible to keep both feet on the mat, and that would really also stretch out your hamstrings. Not only is this a good hip exercise, it's a great hamstring stretch as well. And one more. Well done. And now we will finish with some breathing exercises. So laying flat on your back, place your hands onto your stomach and close your eyes. So what I want you to do is take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now what I want you to do every time you take a deep breath in is to really expand your diaphragm, really expand your rib cage. I want you to take as much breath into your stomach as possible. So take a big breath in, really exaggerate it. So deep breath in and out through your mouth. Deep breath in, out through your mouth. Really focus on your breathing. Really try and get as much oxygen into your stomach. Really expand your rib cage. Even expand your chest. That's absolutely fine. This is why you have your hands on your stomach, to really make sure you're breathing in as much air into your stomach as possible. And this is what I mean by exaggerating every single breath. Now, I normally do this for 2 to 3 minutes. However, if you wanted to do this for longer or shorter, that's absolutely fine. If you get distracted, that's fine. Just bring yourself back into the room to refocus on your breathing. Now, whilst you're on the floor, working on your breathing and focusing on this, I am going to leave you now and say thank you so much for watching the video, and hope you enjoyed the mobility workouts.